Hello, everybody. It's been weeks since I've been on the air, and I'm so happy to be back on the air. This is Pat Sheranian, and you are tuned in to the Pat Sheranian Show. Thank you for giving us a little bit of your time today. You're going to have some fun with us, I'm sure. My guest today is Kyle Bouts. Did I do that
done.
right?
You absolutely did it right.
I had to think about it. Did you see that?
I have to think about it myself sometimes.
That's like Sheranian. Don't interrupt me while I'm spelling it. I'll never get there. We're going to be talking about his business, and then we're going to be talking about political business. And we would like you to get in our chat room if you have anything you'd like to voice and say, and join in with us. Our chat room is right under the picture you see us. We're online at pat.utahvalleylive.com. We're on KHQN on radio at 1480 AM. And we do have a phone, but it's not hooked up in here yet. But if you have a comment, you can call me on 801-362-9552. And, honey, I will get that later, and y'all can talk, and we can just have fun. Meanwhile, the chat room's available, so let us know y'all are out there.
Where did that come from?
Well, I
Honey,
think it's Southern, and I just made that statement, and once I start talking in my native language, then I have a hard time getting out.
So where are you from?
South Carolina.
Y'all is one of the great words of all time.
Y'all just takes it in.
It should be used in every region of the country.
Everywhere. Well, every once in a while somebody say, well, you're kind of sharp with me. I thought, how can that be? I'm thinking in Southern. How can my voice possibly come out any other way? Okay, we're going to start with Kyle and find out who he is and what he is about. Usually Carol Stevens is on with eCauseway at this time. She'll be back on next week for the next 2 or 3 weeks, which we're very grateful for and happy that she is going to be with us a little while longer. But today, when I run into interesting people, boy, I just go get them and bring them on. And I hope you, by the way...
And she couldn't find anybody, so I'm here
that's
instead.
Not true. Actually, he's the best of the good ones, the best of the best. We are on air now from 9 to 10 a.m., from 12 to 1, 1 to 2, and our new show on Primetime Health is on every day from 5 to 6. And from 6 to 7 on Fridays, we're going to be introducing a new show this Friday. It's all about politics. And Lisa Shepard's coming on with me, and she is the chairman of, a campaign for a gentleman that's running for Utah Senate. So we're going to be tearing that up, and they're going to be on every Friday evening from 6 to 7. And so we're just filling up all the airtime and having fun with it. So stay with us. And I don't have a, Christian, I don't have a sheet out there. If I say we're going to go to commercial, are you with me? Raise your hand and say yes. There, okay. Let's do this. We're going to talk a little bit about Kyle personally, and then we'll go to commercial break, and then we'll come back. And if you play some of the Kyanie stuff, if you've got that available, that would be good, because I am here because Kyanie works. I'm not going to see 60 again. And I have the energy of a 40-year-old, for crying out loud, and it's because of Kyanie, Kyani. They have 3 outstanding products, and I would love to tell you about it personally, one-on-one. You can come down to the studio, we'll eat and we'll go to lunch, and I'll tell you about all these good things. Call me, 801-362-9552. Tell me the story of your life.
I was born a poor black boy.
Were you brother to our guy that's on the air with us, who is our engineer, who's a black boy? He's neat.
Yes. That's one of my favorite lines from, The Jerk, Steve Martin.
Steve Martin, yeah.
Now, I come from a big family. I was the first of 6, and grew up in California. I've been out here in Utah now for almost 4 years.
Where in California?
Well, in the 50 years that I lived in California, I lived in Southern California for quite a while. Lived in Northern California for quite a while. Most recently, I was living in the Sacramento area before I came out here.
Would I have run into you down in Southern California, in Newport Beach area, or Beverly Hills, Westwood, anywhere there?
No.
Santa Monica?
No. I was in Bakersfield and San Luis Obispo.
Well,
I lived in Palm Springs for a year. That is a brutal place to live.
It is in the summer.
It was 120 degrees the day I moved there.
I didn't know you could really fry eggs on cement, but you can.
Yeah, you can hurt your feet on that cement. You can
hurt your feet. We used to go down in the winter. That was when you live in Southern, around Beverly Hills, Newport Beach, and you want to get to the heat, you go to Palm Springs in the winter. It's lovely. And I want to know, this winter has been wonderful up here, though.
It's been the winter. It's been the year without winter. We've had 3 days of winter.
I love it. Yesterday, Monday, I went down to get in the car. The outside thermometers is 70 degrees. And hey, here we are in the middle of winter in Utah, and I thought it was in Southern California. I loved it. I love Utah, and I don't want to leave. That's why I don't go back down there. But I don't like all the snow and walking on it.
I love the people of Utah. I do not love the weather of Utah. It's tough, but I think that tough weather, harsher conditions can create better people. My time in California.
You got lazy.
No. Well. All right. Yes, but that's
never contradict
another story. My time in California led me to believe that area from Bakersfield to Fresno in the Central Valley, where it's harsh, it's not beautiful, but the people are beautiful and they're good people.
Well, now, are you in the vineyards there when you go up through that direction? Are you talking about that route as you go up where the wine country?
No, I ended up living in Bakersfield is Southern California. It's just 90 minutes north of L.A.
Yeah, well, I know Bakersfield. That's not big.
And from there to Fresno, it's all desert. It's farmland and oil pumps. And as long as people want to eat and put gas in their cars, those areas are going to be fine economically, as long as the politicians don't screw them up. But Northern California, I did live in the wine country. I was on the northern tip of the wine country about, again, an hour and a half, 2 hours north of San Francisco.
You could be in Tuscany. There's some beautiful, beautiful land through there. Beautiful, beautiful scenery. Yeah. Well, so then what brought you back to Utah?
Well, I was dealing with the economy in California, and like a lot of people, it was not kind to me, and so my dad had a business out here. My dad has just turned 80, and still love to get out there. I have a window tinting business. I've tinted windows since Richard Nixon was president. And
you learned how to do it by now.
I can literally do it with my eyes closed.
Let's tell people what you're really talking about, because we're just easing into your commercial there, so let's do it. You have a business. You tint car windows.
Yeah. Advanced window tinting. I did a car yesterday. I'm doing a home tomorrow. I'll probably be doing a commercial job on Saturday.
So commercial things would be those big plate glass windows? Or
sometimes it is. They were some pretty big plate glass windows on last Saturday, doing the windows on a storefront. They had sun damage to their merchandise. And so Ogden's Flooring down in Spanish Fork, nice folks. And they have tinted windows now. And so between the three, how
do people get hold of you?
You call me, 369-0625.
And that's 801?
Or you can Google window tinting in Lehigh or Saratoga Springs. There's actually some wonderful services that I pay to make sure that when people Google me, I end up at the top.
Okay, so 801-369-0625.
Yep.
And I'm speaking with Kyle Fouts, and so I met him through a friend just this past weekend. And we had a great chat on the phone that had nothing whatsoever really to do with his business, because he's into politics.
Yeah, it's what I do. It is not my passion.
And this is going to be fun. So we're going to talk about, I'm going to go to commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the primary and what went on yesterday and what we think about it. I listened to it until, 1 in the morning or something and gave up because I never did get all the count for Alaska. That, I guess, happened during the night somewhere.
Romney took it.
Yeah, well, I did know that. By the time I got up this morning and turned the news on. But we're going to talk about it a little bit because I have a huge interest in this. We all should have. One of the problems that they've had in Utah is we're registered, but nobody goes and votes. And for all the people here that understand the ramifications of having a good guy in the White House that we really can trust and believe in, we need to get ourselves out there and vote. We need to be talking about it. If we have issues, we need to be talking about those issues until they become clear to us. So we're going to see if we can do some of that when we come back. And Christian, we're going to take a little break here, and we'll be right back with you. Thank you so much, folks, for being with us today.
Are you looking to create another revenue stream in 2012? Are you willing to put out the effort to generate some cash flow? Pat Sheranian is seeking 10 motivated individuals to join her Kyani team as independent distributors. Earn as much as you are willing to work for selling Kyani Sunrise, Sunset, Nitro FX, and Nitro Extreme. These great products are helping thousands of people enjoy better health and an improved financial situation. The most successful Kyani independent distributors started by trying the Kyani products, just as you can, virtually risk-free, as Kyani offers a 30-day money-back satisfaction guarantee. Try them and don't like them, and you'll get your money back, less the shipping costs. So many people today are challenged by obesity and diabetes, or don't have enough money for their needs, and they aren't doing anything about it. Don't be one of them. Call Pat Sheranian at 801-362-9552 to find out more about Kyani and what it can do for your health and for your wealth. That's 801-362-9552.
Who is not moved by the magic and power of spring? It's a season of renewal, of budding hopes, of hatching dreams and planning and building and becoming. It's a season when life is on the move. And this fertile time is the basis of the popular Good Life Expo to be held this year, April 13th and 14th, at the Spanish Fork Fairgrounds. The expo allows you to find what is good for the home, the family, and your favorite pastimes. Come to the Spanish Fork Fairground Friday and Saturday, April 13th and 14th, and enjoy the good life. To reserve a booth, call 801-362-9552, 362-9552.
Hi, I'm Roger Strong. I'm here to tell you about tidbits of Utah County. No death, divorce, devastation, or destruction, just good news for good people. You'll find us everywhere in Utah Valley, in doctors' offices, restaurants, mechanic shops, anywhere that people wait. We have over 35 features of fun, family-friendly entertainment. To find a paper or to advertise, call Roger at 801-616-6288. Again, that's Roger at 801-616-6288. We're Tidbits of Utah County, the happy paper for Happy Valley.
This is Pat Sheranian. We're happy to be back with you. By the way, I want to thank the Daily Herald for running the ads. We have quarter-page ads in the Daily Herald running, I think, Fridays and Mondays. We're going to be adding some new names to our ad, and maybe a couple of weeks from now we'll have that changed a little bit also, because we now have somewhere close to 20 hosts that are bringing their own shows aboard, and that's really fun to see things changing and coming alive, because we are talking about Utah Valley Live, and of course UtahValleyLive.com is where you find us on the internet. I'm talking to Lyle Fouts this morning, or today.
See, that's with a K.
I said, yes, I can read my own writing almost. I'm sorry, it's Kyle. I renamed him. His mother will forgive me, I hope. It's Kyle Fouts. And my question to him was, we were going to talk about some politics. He also is running a very nice business he's had for years for tinting windows, cars, commercial, home. With summer coming, this is a good time to do it.
Yeah.
But he's got a passion for...
Yeah. For politics.
For politics.
And I'm not exactly sure why. In high school, I knew a little bit, but the volume of information that went right over my head while I was in high school, Watergate started when I was in high school. Saigon fell while I was, actually it fell the year after I graduated high school, but the Vietnam War was winding down. The most attention, though, that I paid to it was when I was a senior and Richard Nixon announced that they weren't going to have the draft anymore, at which point I thought he was a genius. And that was about it. I was your basic high school kid. I wrote a couple of papers that were kind of free enterprise oriented, but I went on a mission for the Mormon Church, and it was the summer of '79. I was coming home. I was in an airplane over the Atlantic, and the person that used that seat before me had left a Newsweek magazine in the pocket, and so I pulled it out, and that was the year that we had, at that point, the Iranians had not taken hostages yet, but it was the prelude to the 1980 election cycle. And so I am reading this magazine, and at that point, all America knew was that Jimmy Carter was a weak president. The economy was terrible. I didn't realize how terrible until I got home and started reading newspapers. But the Republican primary was already beginning, and wonder of wonders, it rarely happens. A sitting president got challenged for the nomination for his party by one of his own party. Ted Kennedy was going to challenge Jimmy Carter. Well, I'm reading about this, and it was Kennedy's last really good opportunity. He was reaching an age where he needed to do it or not. And so he challenged his own sitting president. And Jimmy Carter, the Baptist minister, decided, he ran a campaign of, I'm a good man, it was post-Watergate, and I'll never lie to America. And I'm just going to be the good Baptist minister's son in the White House. You can trust me. His staff comes to him and says, well, Mr. President, Ted Kennedy's announced he's going to challenge you for the nomination. And I'm told by Pat I can't say exactly what Jimmy Carter said. But in effect, what he said was, we'll kick his butt.
There you go.
And I was fascinated. I mean, I'm reading this and it read like a fiction novel. It read like just really intriguing stuff to me. And from that point on, I started reading editorial pages and following the news, and that's 1979. So, 30 years and change later, I've gotten a college degree in political science, and I read political science for fun, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But, I tell people that I have a
there are weird people out there that count.
Mm-hmm. I have a poli-sci degree, which means I walk around with a perpetual cloud over my head.
That's not true.
Well, it kind of is, because it is hard to look at the current crop of politicians and be happy.
Now, I'm going to take offense to that, because we've got some politicians running for office that I like.
Mm-hmm.
One.
For president?
Yeah, for president.
Okay.
And I admire, I have some issues with local folks in Utah, but I'm not going to go there today. And I like Ron Paul's love of the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's leadership material of the caliber that it's going to take to be in the White House.
No,
However, but I'm grateful that he has actually made a platform out of the Constitution. And he's not going to come off of it. Now, I'm sad if he says he's going all the way, because I think that it causes problems at the convention.
The thing that distressed me in reading exit polls from last night was that in one of the states, I want to say Oklahoma, one of the questions that Fox News asked in their exit polling was, if your guy wins, or no matter who wins the nomination, are you going to vote for the Republican? Most people said yes. 70, 80% said yes. And then a follow-up question was, if your guy doesn't win, will you vote for the Republican? And 41% of the poll followers said no.
What?
So
you got, really?
Yeah.
So if their person doesn't win, what are they going to do? Not vote?
Not vote, probably hold out.
That's a vote for Obama.
Of course it is. And so, Ron Paul, if that's how Ron Paul voters feel, bless their hearts. I mean, I agree with you 100%. The Constitution needs to be a platform. Sound money needs to be a platform. Reining in the Fed needs to be a platform. These things need to be in the discussion, and I'm glad Ron Paul has them there. And the Republican Party is the natural home for libertarians. It shouldn't be a hard sell for Republicans to bring in libertarians. But if libertarians are of that foreign policy bent that says, we're to blame. I mean, how's that different from Jeremiah Wright, saying that chickens have come home to roost? It's there's no practical difference in terms of American policy and the money to defend ourselves. That's a little bit of a non sequitur, but what I mean is America has to be prosperous in order to be safe. And the thing is, if we're prosperous and we decide not to defend ourselves, in the end, there's no real difference there. Whether or not we can or choose not to.
It's just foreign policy that scares me.
Right, it's a disqualifier.
Yeah, I mean, that's as far as I'm concerned. I'm
it's
amazed people vote for him. It bothers me that they do. Okay, now, you have all these sheets in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's talk about what happened, because you just, apparently Mitt's not your guy.
Well, Mitt Romney is my guy, although until a couple of weeks ago, I would have been perfectly comfortable with Rick Santorum. He was a Romney supporter 4 years ago. I liked him as a senator. I was surprised that he lost so badly in Pennsylvania in 2006, but that was a perfect storm. of a campaign and an election for the Democrats. You had the war was at its nadir in Iraq, and Santorum had been a big supporter there, and the Democrats ran a man who said he was going to be, pro-life, and the social issues were his strength, were Rick Santorum's strength, so that kind of took his thunder that way. The economy was less of an issue then, and so Santorum lost, and he lost badly.
Were you not concerned about he's so controlling about some of the issues he has? We say get away from government control, but if this guy's in the White House and he's going to say this about religion, he's going to say this about abortion, and he's going to be so adamant about everything and no wiggle room for anything, I don't agree with some of that stuff. But if you don't, and you've got people that you have to work with, can he flex?
Right, he can, and
wait, but how do you know that?
Well, number one, the Constitution. The president only has so much influence, whether over the kinds of issues that Rick has been talking about. And one of the things you have to remember, and please, I am defending Rick Santorum somewhat, but I don't think he can win the general election, and that's why I'm a Mitt Romney guy. I also think that Mitt, Pat and I were talking about this, I think Mitt will govern more conservatively than he has campaigned. I hope that he will. I'm
well, by nature he is, and if you know him personally or you know anybody around him personally or you've talked with him, one-on-one he comes across different, a little bit differently than he does on this campaign.
Okay. I'm glad to hear it. He's not going to get a lot of one-on-one. He has said enough things in the media that are really disconcerting to a conservative. Not a little, but really disconcerting
then draw
to a
the
conservative.
lines. Draw the lines. He's a moderate. This is conservative. What is this and what is this? And where do they meet?
I think that...
or do they?
That Mitt Romney has not said the sorts of things when it comes to economics that I would like to hear a guy say when it comes to the role of government in our lives, the role of the government in the economy. My fear, okay, now I've told you what, and I'm really sounding like a Rick Santorum guy. And let me back up.
He's a nice guy.
Let me
That's
back
not
up.
The problem.
The speech that got him in the most trouble was talking about Satan going after America. Remember that he was A, out of office, B, speaking at a Catholic church to a Catholic group. He wasn't campaigning in that speech. And so take that with a grain of salt. As a Latter-day Saint, hey, I believe in the devil, and I believe that the devil does have his sights set on us. But you can't say that as a presidential candidate, even if you believe it in your soul. But it's out there now, and it damages Rick Santorum as a candidate. And I believe with William McGurn,
you question his personality. You question what's behind it. And
I wouldn't want people to videotape my priesthood lessons and then
run them in the public.
eye.
I understand that.
Okay, and I feel like that's kind of what happened with Rick. Mitt Romney has had a couple of occasions to where he said things that were not good, and it was his recovery that was even worse. When he said that he's not worried about the middle class, or no, he's not worried about the very poor, and he's not worried about the rich because they're going to be fine.
I blame his speechwriters. Honest to Pete, sometimes I do, because you wonder where they're coming from. He wouldn't have said some of those things.
I'll take it as a talking point, and certainly that had been discussed. But he should know better than to say that. He should have said, no, that we're not doing this. I would never say those words. In casual conversation or in the most serious conversation, I would never say, I'm focused on the middle class, not the poor. They've got a safety net. If it needs fixing, we'll fix it. Not the rich, they're fine. I would just never say it. The point of the American government is to create an economic environment in which people will do business. Calvin Coolidge said the chief business of Americans is to do business, and that is what we do if government will stay out of the way. We know how to invest. We know how to create products and services. If the economic environment is good enough, that's what we do. It's not now, so we're not. I mean, this recovery is an extremely weak recovery. It's historically weak. We haven't seen long-term unemployment like this since the Great Depression. We haven't seen home values drop like this since the Great Depression. It's not an accident. It's not a coincidence. It's our policies. And different policies will get different results. So I want Mitt Romney, instead of saying, I'm going to focus on the middle class, to say, I'm going to create an economic environment where we all do better. Now, John Kennedy said, a rising tide floats all boats. And that's kind of the right attitude, but it isn't 100% correct. The rising tide doesn't float all boats. It only floats seaworthy boats. And so we need to make sure that as many boats as possible don't have serious leaks in them, and that goes back to education. It goes back to strong families, and that's another issue. My
guest today is the non-opinionated Kyle Faust. Have you thought of having your own show?
Is there another Kyle in here? I'm the opinionated one.
Hey, we're going to go to commercial break, and just before we do, I want to give a shout-out to Pam Mays. Dr. Mays has been on the air here, and she travels a great deal, and it just got impossible for her to be on the air with us anymore. I was totally captivated by her when I met her because we started talking about dreams, and I didn't remember it in my dreams, but after she suggested how I remember my dreams, I started to. And then she was going to help me analyze them, and now she's taken that to a larger form. So on March 17th, which is a Saturday, St. Pat's Day, she's going to be giving an all-day seminar, and it is going to be intriguing. You learn about how to dissect your dreams and interpret them, and also other people's dreams. And this is going to be held in Orem, but I want you to call her to get directions to her facility where she's going to be giving the seminar. It is all day. It's going to be fascinating. You will learn things about yourself you haven't known before. I will be there, and you should be there.
That's a scary topic.
You don't want to know.
I'm reminded of a scene where, well, I can tell you about it later.
We may get him to tell about it yet. But anyway, this is coming up, and I really encourage you to come. She's going to give you all the vitals about it. So here it is, Dr. Pamela Mays, and the phone number is 801-400-8460. 801-400-8460. So give her a call and talk about this and get yourself, it's limited seating. And it is an all-day, we say seminar, it's really a workshop because we're all going to be working together on this. And she's going to give us vital information, analysis, how we can learn to do this. And really is fun to help, to find that you can do this yourself was really fun. And I went back to childhood dreams I still can remember, and she said, well, how about this, this, and this? And then it opened up other doors. So absolutely fascinating, Dr. Pam Mays. So give her a call, 801-400-8460. It's the bottom of the hour, a little past, so we're going to go to a commercial break. We'll be back just in a few minutes and be talking to Kyle Faust some more. I'm Pat Sheranian, and again, thank you for joining us today, and be with us. We'll be back. Become a force for good in the land. This is a new seminar presented by Marilyn Starr Harris and sponsored by the Thomas Jefferson Center and Roundtable. It will be presented in Lehigh on March 25th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The seminar is free. Please call Judy at 801-634-9320. 634-9320. Learn how to inspire others when you speak, whether in front of a group, at church, or at home. If you're like most speakers, you've heard the same old how-tos when it comes to speaking over and over again. Today, America needs people like you who can inspire people to act to restore the Constitution. 6 new steps take you from a winning first impression to lasting influence. Win with respect the minute you step on a stage. Connect with your audience. Become friends. Perfect your craft. Invoke passion. Foundation keys that affect people after you leave the podium. Marilyn will be presenting this in Lehigh, March 25th. The phone number to call for directions and to RSVP, call Judy, 634-9320. We need people like you.
Are you an athlete looking for a natural boost to your workout? Have you studied up on the benefits of nitric oxide production to your performance? Then you'll want to try Kyani's Nitro Extreme. Nitro Extreme promotes cardiovascular health and improved blood flow, supports muscle contraction and relaxation, as well as nerve transmission. I use Nitro Extreme right before I lift weights. and I've never been stronger in my entire life. If you don't try Nitro Extreme, you'll never know what you're missing. Call 801-362-9552 to order yours today. That's 801-362-9552. Thanks for listening to our broadcast. Please do us a favor and take a moment to call, text, or email your friends and family and let them know about this show. We're live on this radio station, KHQN AM 1480, and on UtahValleyLive.com, where this show will be archived for later viewing. Also, Utah Valley Live is seeking additional programming for our growing network. Talk shows about religion or politics, how-to shows, and more. Go to UtahValleyLive.com and send us your contact information and the type of show you would like to broadcast.
Welcome back to the Pat Sheranian Show. My guest today is Kyle Fouts. We started talking out about his business, which is glass tinting. Is that correct?
Yep.
Commercial, home, car, whatever.
I'll tint the windows on your store and keep your merchandise from fading. I'll tint the windows on your house to give you privacy, to cool off your home, and to give you, and also to protect furniture. I've gone to people's homes where they've flipped over a cushion on a couch, and it's a completely different color.
Different color because of the sun coming in.
Because of the sun damage. And then, of course, cars are nice. You can't get a 1-year-old to hold a newspaper up over their heads for very long. They tend to want to eat the newspaper. And so dark windows in the back. It's probably the main reason I tint windows in Utah is to keep the sun off the kids and the dogs.
Is it expensive?
No, the average car is $140. Sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more.
And they use the whole car?
Mm-hmm.
That's
you can't do the windshield, but
well, I started saying you can't do the front, but you can. Yeah. Kyle's phone number is 801-369-0625, 369-0625. And his office is out in
Saratoga Springs. But I come to you. I'll do the job right at your home.
He comes right down that, and that makes it worthwhile right there for good. And you've been doing this how many 11 dozen years?
11 dozen. That would be 132 years. And the people who like it the most are moms with small children. It's so much easier to wait at home than wait in somebody's waiting room or arrange a ride, something like that.
I appreciate that. Again, Kyle Fouts, and the number is 801-369-0625, and he'll get you in the shade and make things better. Also, I want to mention that I am working on the Spanish Fork Fairgrounds Expo coming up, the Good Life Expo on April 13th, which is a Friday, and the 14th. The booths are very inexpensive, and if you have a home business, I can give you a discount. I'm working with Ron Payne on this. He's had 16 years he's been putting on these expos, and I've worked with him 4 or 5 years. And so we're putting this one together. It's called Home, Garden, Wealth, Health, Wealth, and Hobbies. So if you fit into any of that or think you would have fun, we expect 2,000 or 3,000 people. Give me a call, 801-362-9552, and we'll get you set up in a 10-by-10 booth, draped with 2 chairs and a table. And you can bring anything else, anything you want in that's legal, moral, and not an animal running around live in this fair. So, but it's going to be fun, and it just kind of kicks us off for spring. We have about 80 to 100 booths that we're working on. So, again, my phone number is 801-362-9552. Let's have a chat about what you're doing or some friends that you might know that have home businesses. We particularly cater to that, but not only that. And I'm going to talk Kyle into coming, and you can tint something and show us how it's done. How's that?
I've done that before.
Okay. So we're going to be doing that April 13th and 14th. Okay. Let's get back on this, some of the information that you've gotten put together here. I liked what you had talked about a while ago, what people were going to do, and now after so many months, they've changed their minds.
What do you mean?
Well, you were talking about the percentages that.
It's most Republicans, 70-80%, are going to vote for the Republican nominee, whoever he is. Rick Santorum had.
Let me ask this: without grumbling, they're going to murmur.
It depends on who's nominated. Rick Santorum had a little higher satisfaction across the board than People were asked if Rick Santorum was nominated, how satisfied are you going to be? More people were satisfied with that. And then Mitt Romney was a little behind him, over 50% would be satisfied. And I don't know, 30%, 40% would be disappointed, but they'd hold their nose and do it. There was a lot of that, with John McCain last time around too. And Newt Gingrich, of the three, main candidates, Ron Paul again he's a representative of a movement, which, like I said, I appreciate that movement. A sound dollar is the most important thing that the government can do for our businesses. But it's a discussion, and people don't talk about it enough. People don't understand it enough.
Okay, wait, that's my question. What percentage of the country, of the United States of America, truly understands the issues and the what it takes for the person who's going to step into that position? How many really? You're talking about the popular vote. They're going to be disappointed because nice guy that has a nice religion, because this one feels that. Or who really know? What percentage really understand that Ron Paul cannot be in the White House? He's not qualified to do those things, certainly with his feelings about foreign policy. Santorum, I don't think he has a big enough background in the business world.
And that's, I will say, and that's a question that was asked in some of the exit polling, what's most important, a business background or a government background? And more people said a business background was important than a government background. And those people are more inclined.
That if it came out
are more inclined to support Mitt Romney. That was in Ohio, but I don't think that it's absolutely critical that you have a business background. What is critical, because the government is not a business. You can't fire people. You have to persuade people, and
I think my feeling was you've got to have an understanding. I've been an entrepreneur since I was a teenager. And that's a different kind of business.
I don't even know that you have to understand it, but you do have to appreciate it. And the reason I say that is I've had enough discussions now with people who worked in the private sector and after working in the public sector, and they appreciate the difference. I did a window tinting job for a professor in California. He taught mechanical engineering at the university where I went to school. And I did a nice window tinting job for him. 2 years later, he calls me. He wants another window tinting job done. And by then, we're discussing things, and he said, I'm not at the university anymore. And I said, what are you doing? He said, well, why are you not at the university, was my first question. He said, well, in the mechanical engineering department, they wanted to upgrade our profile, and so they said, anybody who wants to teach here has to have a PhD. He said, I had a master's. I'd been teaching for a long time. I knew the material, but it was just about the department's profile. Everybody had to have a PhD. So I, started my own business, and I do consulting work now. And then he hesitated a bit, and he said, Kyle, I never realized how good I had it.
Oh, that's interesting.
He said, in the private sector, they expect specific, concrete results fast. Now, that's an appreciation that I wish every politician had. And they don't. George McGovern, bless his heart, bought himself or was an investor in a huge motel. I can't remember if it was back in Minnesota or if it was in the D.C. area, but he was a private sector businessman. And he said in an interview, I wish I'd known when I was in government what
there you go.
I know now
okay, that's what
about
I'm
the private
about.
sector.
Yeah,
now,
that's what I'm talking
that
about.
appreciation is important so that they know the impact that government policy has on we, the private sector. But running the government is still a different proposition from running a business. And you have to be able to persuade. That was George Bush's biggest problem, and it's one of the reasons that it is the reason that Newt Gingrich is so popular. Newt Gingrich can be the most persuasive politician since Ronald Reagan when he disciplines himself. But he is so far from being disciplined that he is disqualified by his lack of discipline, in my estimation, his lack of discipline, and both in staying on message, but also in operating his office as a politician. The vast majority of his staff didn't quit en masse last year for no reason at all.
They went out the door.
They went out the door. That's stunning. To have your whole campaign staff, your national staff, your supporters, the people that know you best, walk away. And that's a reflection on Gingrich's management style. It's the reason that so many people who worked with him in Congress support Mitt Romney. Being a good speaker is not enough, but it is an important part of the job, and it's why George Bush was...
Okay, but yes, why people didn't understand him, because he was not a good speaker. Okay, I'm remembering a conversation years ago when John Kennedy was running. I was in New York. And I heard more women say, I'm going to vote for him because he's so great looking. He's charming. Let's vote for him. I keep hearing this kind of thing now. People don't know the issues. They don't know who can do what. They don't know about anybody.
You asked
a lot of people. I mean, I don't hang out in a group of people that aren't bright. It's just that emotions get in the way of thinking sometimes, of good thinking. Analyze.
Yeah, when I was first starting to pay attention to politics, back in the early 80s, and, Ronald Reagan was president, my guy was in. So I wanted to think that the American electorate was really sharp. Of course they're sharp. They voted for my guy.
There's a reason.
People are emotional. And at the margins, there will be some people who will just have a favorable impression of Mitt Romney because he's blindingly handsome. Man crush. Okay, I confess. But that's... and that's just it. In a country of... we're going to have 120 million people or so vote in the next election, and there's going to be a handful out there that are just going to go, he seems nice. You know what? Surveys have shown people seem to have a nice impression of beautiful people if they don't know them very well.
Santorum people will say, I don't know much about him, but he's such a nice guy. Mm-hmm. I'll vote for him.
Okay, well,
nice guy.
That's separate. Now you're starting to talk about his personality and the way he comes across and everything. And I agree with that. There's a mix. Then there are policy wonks, people who are just crunching numbers, and people who stay up, they fall asleep. Last night I fell asleep with exit polls in my lap. I had to put them back together.
Okay, let's just drop the other. Do you agree we have a large percentage of our country that will not understand who the person is they're voting for?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That was my point.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. It is a saddening thing that ideas that people used to take for granted, they don't even think about now. I mean, you and I grew up with the idea. You've heard the phrase before, you can't fight City Hall, right?
You can.
Well, it's a hard thing to do. You don't want to cross swords with City Hall. City Hall makes the rules. City Hall has police power. And
my opinion, I believe, is worth something, and I think people should have the right to have opinions. But if you don't have information and you build an opinion based on zippo knowledge, you're outside, you're not working. It's not part of the deal. You won't fit in, and the wrong person will wind up in the White House because somebody didn't know enough about it to have an opinion that was based on anything that was knowledgeable.
Right. Well, that's the point that I'm getting to. People don't say you can't fight City Hall anymore. Millions of Americans, a higher percentage than ever before, think City Hall is benign. They're on your side. Danica Patrick, bless her heart, she is a wonderful race car driver. And I don't know how this came up. But
I just read something about her in the paper.
No, somebody asked her a couple of weeks ago about the, contraception, or I don't know if it was contraception or if it was healthcare in general or what. She was asked, what do you think the government should do? She said, I don't worry about it. I trust the American government to make these decisions for me.
Oh, please.
She said those words out loud in public. It's on tape. It's documented. Now, she represents millions of Americans. We've gone from you can't fight City Hall to I trust City Hall to decide how much electricity I should use, what kind of light bulbs I should use, how much water should flow through my toilet. I trust City Hall to check my kids' lunches. I trust City Hall to...
But that's what we have going on right now. So, again, you tell me, are we a country that is going to take time to find out why Obama has become so controlling, why government is so controlling, and will it make a heck of any difference to anybody that likes Obama, thinks he's a nice guy?
No. There is a base that the Democratic Party has. I shouldn't say that. Democratic Party has to work with. I'm told that that's a slight.
It's okay. No, it's all right. They're friends out
there. There's about a 30% base that I was talking to a guy on the phone the other day who we were talking politics. He was from the Bay Area, older gentleman, and we were talking about the economy. And he made the point that George Bush started the war for oil. And I tried to back up a little bit. And he said, well, it doesn't matter. The Republicans have their propaganda.
What does that mean? What do you mean?
What he means is he doesn't trust anything that Republicans say.
Regardless.
Regardless. It's propaganda. You can't trust it. If they trip across the truth, it was just that, an accident. There's a 30% base out there. There's about a 20% base. I saw a survey several years ago of people who believe that George Bush had a joystick and he was guiding the airplanes into the Twin Towers. I mean, they really believe that there was a massive conspiracy. We're not going to get those folks. We are not going to get those folks. We're not going to get the folks who believe that the reason someone is rich is because they've taken from someone who isn't rich. Their idea of an economic philosophy is that life is a monopoly board with X number of dollars to be divvied up by the players, and he who rolls the dice the best, the guy with the little top hat, ends up with the most money. But that's inherently unfair. And so government has to step in and say to the little fat man, you can't keep all your holdings. We're going to spread it out.
And that's the part I don't understand. How can logical thinking people, well, maybe they're not logical thinking,
there you
that's
go.
The problem. But how can it be right to take from the rich to give to the poor? You can donate that if you choose to. But honestly, I don't get that the government wants to take care and have us take care of people that sit and play video games all day.
Well, and I wouldn't say that they're all playing video games all day. Some of them may be trying really hard.
I'll give that. I'll give that.
And
maybe
the problem is that they don't understand the dynamics of a free market economy and what it can do for people in terms of their standard of living. They don't know that the best health, education, and welfare program is a nuclear family and a working dad. You want to help poor people? Help working dads. And if you want to help working dads, you help their bosses. You help employers employ people. If I were Mitt Romney, and I told you this, this is the thing that I would say. Whoever, I'm waiting for a Republican candidate to say, I can't create jobs. The only way the government can create jobs is to hire people. Except in order to do that, we have to take money out of the private sector. So we're not going to hire anybody. I'm not promising to create larger public sector unions. I'm going to create an environment where employers and employees can work together to create a product or a service that their customers can voluntarily afford to pay for. And then you're on your own. Then it is between you and your employer or you by yourself to create a product or a service that somebody wants in the free market. That's the only way you can get job security.
Do people understand this?
No.
So then you're going to have what percentage? I'm back to my question.
30% are not gettable. 30% are not gettable. They think that
they're
employers.
Not okay.
And I've had people tell me this. I've tried to explain to a window tinting customer, and this goes back decades, that wealth is created when a businessman creates a product or a service that a customer freely wants. The customer benefits by buying the service. The employer or the businessman benefits by selling the service or the product. And then he can take those profits to expand the business, to create opportunities for employees. That is the process of wealth creation. There is no other process. There just isn't.
All right. What percentage of people in our country understand that?
Well, that guy looked at me and said there aren't that many transactions like that. He sees most business transactions as somebody ripping off somebody. I know. I don't agree with him. I agree with you. It's not true. It is a factual fallacy.
Okay, I have to tell the truth here today. I invited Kyle Fouts, who's my guest today, to be on because we had a little chitty chat on the phone, and he had opinions, he had thoughts, and I thought that he would be great handling a panel of people discussing some of the things we've been talking about today. with 3 other people and running a whole thing maybe every day of the week, but at least one day a week.
She went trolling for radio hosts. Okay?
Oh, dear. Did I do that?
I snagged the chum.
I just really thought he would be fun to bring on the air to see if he enjoyed doing this. It's a little difficult because there's a camera in your face. We know we're going out on the radio. And so it takes a little bit of adjusting, and he adjusted immediately, obviously. We have not gotten to any of the information that he brought in, which now means you have to come back and do this on your own show at some other time. We're going to take a quick commercial break, come back for just a minute, and I'm going to let Kyle tell you what we were talking about today and kind of summarize it. Want to mention one more time about the March 17th all-day workshop on dreams with Dr. Pam Mays, and that phone number is 801-400-8460, 400-8460. We'll be right back in just a moment.
Moving? LDSagents.com is a free nationwide service connecting you with over 3,000 real estate agents who understand questions about meeting house locations, ward boundaries, early morning seminary, and family neighborhoods. Buy, sell, or finance with an agent who understands you. LDSagents.com.
You've heard ads to send your old jewelry off to a refiner. Stop! Here's a better idea. Take your old jewelry and diamonds to the Jeweler's Bench. We are conveniently located in downtown Provo at 275 North University Avenue. I'm Daniel Broadbent, owner of the Jeweler's Bench. We are experienced in selling and buying fine jewelry. We give you an honest evaluation of what your pieces are worth, then give you several options. The Jeweler's Bench can buy your jewelry for cash now, or sell it for you on consignment, or even repair it or make it into something new. We buy antique jewelry, broken, worn-out jewelry, new jewelry, coins, or any other kind of precious metal. We will evaluate and give you the best value for your diamonds. Gold is high. Now is the time to sell. You need to convert that valuable stuff that you are not using into something that you can use right now. Come to the Jeweler's Bench for an immediate free evaluation. We are open Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 275 North University Avenue, downtown Provo. We'd love to help you soon.
We're on. Are we on?
Oh, we're on. Okay.
Yeah.
We're on.
Dead air. So sorry.
Hi, we've been listening to the Pat Sheranian Show with my guest, Kyle Fouts, and we really appreciate having him here today. Thank you. We appreciate having you here. And I'm going to just turn it over to him because you see this is my kind of training that I do when I find somebody that I think will be a great host. And so go for it. Let's wrap it.
Well, we got about 2 minutes, and we have an obligation as citizens to know what the heck is going on. We need to know how society, how business functions. Wealth is not created by politicians. Politicians can do 2 things. They can protect us from bad guys, some foreign, some domestic. They can create a legal environment in which it's easier to do business. That's it. Anything else that government tried to do, we could do on our own. And that's the libertarian streak in me. We need to know that. We need to be advocates for that. We need to persuade our neighbors that we're responsible as much as possible for our own selves, individually, as families, as communities, and vote for the politician who promises you the least. Aside from the frustration factor, they're going to try to do less. Politicians will generally spend money in ways that disrupt markets, make it difficult for businesses to function, and that's it. We need to know the details of why that is. To some degree, it's to me, it's fun. To most people, it's not. But we need to be advocates as citizens for our own strength, for our own family strength. Other than that, politicians are...
This is going to be fun.
It's frustrating.
Thank you, Kyle. We appreciate you being with us today. I'll be back on the air on Thursday, tomorrow, between 12 and 2, and again on Friday. So stay with us. We enjoy having you with us, and we'd certainly love to hear from you. Bye-bye.